we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm Shane Stacks, your host. Thanks so much for joining us. Got a couple of cool guests today. We're going to be talking about some Star Trek stuff. Before that, just want to say again, thanks again for joining us. Whether you're listening live locally in Central Arkansas on 96.5 FM The Answer, or if you're listening via the live stream on 96.5 FMTheAnswer.com, thanks so much for listening live. Remember, this is live Geek Talk Radio. It's just like other talk radio. It's like political talk radio, religious talk radio, sports talk radio, but it's Geek Talk Radio. So you can call in. That number is 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. You can also tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. ShanePlays. I monitor those tweets as well. So call 501-823-0965 or tweet me at Shane Plays. We also have our notes for the show right now. The stuff we're going to be talking about in the news items today, and also my guests. There's links to all of that on ShanePlays.com. That's like Shane likes to play stuff, not like Shane's place where he hangs out. So ShanePlays.com. There's show notes up right there with links to today's news items and also links to information about my guests and what they're doing and their blogs and that sort of cool stuff. So check that out. If you're like, hey, what was he talking about? You can go to ShanePlays.com and find out more right now. Also, we do go out as a podcast a couple of days after the live show. We'll go out on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher and other fine podcast directories. We're also a week delayed on KryptonRadio.com. So if you're hearing this on KryptonRadio.com, this is last week's show, but that's cool. You can go ahead and listen. I'm just glad you're listening. Thanks so much for doing that. KryptonRadio.com is SciFi for your Wi-Fi. So glad you're listening. All right, so real quick, I'm going to mention a sponsor real quick, then I'm going to mention or introduce you to my guests, and then we're going to do our ever-popular news segment before going into the main topic, which today will be Star Trek. Not really Star Trek Beyond, although that may come up, but we're going to be talking about Project Small Access, which is directly related to Star Trek, and we're going to let our guests tell us more about that. Real quick, I want to remind you that show sponsor Troll Lord Games does have a Kickstarter going on right now for the Hallowed Oracle. Troll Lord Games has partnered with Shane Moore of Abyss Walker fame to bring you even more Castles and Crusades. An all-new adventure series complete with new classes, spells, and monsters. So either go to ShanePlays.com and hit the show notes for that Kickstarter link, or just search for the Hallowed Oracle on Kickstarter. So, and I think Stephen Chenault with Troll Lord Games might be joining us next week as we talk to our Dungeons & Dragons related guest. So, on the phones right now, pretty sure, actually they're on Subspace Communications channels. I'm pretty sure that we have Jonathan and David from Project Small Access. Jonathan and David, are you there?
I'm here. Yes, this is David. I'm here.
All right, so we've got Jonathan and David. Now, it's Jonathan Lane. And David, I'm going to allow you to pronounce your last name so I don't accidentally mangle it.
You wouldn't be the first person to do that. It's Heagney.
Heagney, okay. David Heagney Jr., and both of you guys are a Project Small Access. We'll go more into what Project Small Access is after the news segment, but it is related to Star Trek, and their, and in my opinion, draconian is putting it mildly, fan film guidelines. So we'll be talking with them about that after the news segment. Zach, of course, is running the board and keeping things going in the command room in there, which has got more buttons than the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. Believe me, Zach always does a fantastic job. So, Zach, if you would, turn on that mic in the newsroom and see if our news team's working today. Oh, yeah. There they go.
They are very busy.
They are. And, another thing I like to remind people is that for every $1 of Patreon support that the show gets, we get a penny an hour raise for our news team. That's very important, and they work hard on Saturdays. Also in studio, I don't know if he's going to say anything on the mic or not, is my nephew Christian, and he's furiously playing on his phone. He was playing the app version of Injustice where the DC people beat up on each other. I don't know what he's doing right now. He's frantically thumbing on his phone. So
is he looking for Pokemon?
I don't know. No, he's not playing Pokemon. He was watching me catch Pokemon earlier, actually. So, Christian, what are you doing over there? He's doing Facebook. So, all right. Anyway, he's joining us. We've got nephews and niece hanging out with us this weekend. All right, so on with the news. We've got, first of all, I don't have this listed on the news item or on the show notes, but I did catch, and I'm just going to mention this very briefly. I didn't do a full review of it or anything like that. I didn't make a news item out of it, but I did watch the new Ghostbusters movie last weekend. And I actually liked it. The lovely Sheila and I went and saw it. And I'm a huge Ghostbusters nerd from way back. I saw Ghostbusters in theater, lost my mind, so excited to go see it when I was 12 years old. And I've been a huge Ghostbusters nerd ever since then. I just pretend the second movie didn't really happen, but everything else happened. So I enjoyed it. My super quick, in a nutshell review is I would rather have the original cast maybe training up a new team of Ghostbusters or something like that, or just doing it themselves. But if you're going to get a reboot, I thought they did a really good job with the reboot. It was fun. The story was good. There was good chemistry with the characters. And I liked Holtzman a lot. I liked the character of Holtzman a lot. She was sort of a mix between like Stantz and Spengler with some punk rock thrown in. So did either of you guys catch it?
No, I did not.
Okay, I liked it. It caught a lot of flack, for rebooting and using all-female characters, and I'm staying all out of that. I'm just saying, as a movie, I went in, bought my ticket, sat back, said, entertain me, and I enjoyed it. I'm just going to leave it at that. Should they have rebooted it? I don't know. But I think it's worth checking out. And it did, to me, it felt true to the spirit of Ghostbusters. And I liked the actors and the characters and all that. I thought it was a good story. So there, that's all I have to say on the subject. So I have caught, I waited, I didn't do the digital version. I waited till the hard copy version was out, and I checked out the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition with 30 minutes of extra footage. And once again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I don't want to have a long news segment. I want to make sure to have plenty of time to talk about Project Small Access. But in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, it's a superior movie, the Ultimate Edition. I think they should have just released that version minus the 30 seconds or so of stuff that would have made it rated R and put that in theaters. I think people would have hung with a 3-hour movie, and it was a far better movie. The pacing was better. There was a lot more about Superman and his story and his motivations. So I thought it was better. And there's a link on the show notes from ScreenRant that goes through a really good breakdown of all the new footage that was added. So have either of you guys checked out the Ultimate Edition yet?
Have not seen the Ultimate Edition.
No, I haven't checked that out either. I haven't seen the original either, but from what I understand, the big problem with the one that came out in theaters was, I guess they had tried to shove so much into the movie that it basically made the story incomprehensible.
In my opinion, I remember thinking when I went and saw it in the theater, I was like, as a geek, right, as a superhero nerd, it was a good movie because I got to see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, blah, 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 all this stuff. That's fine. But as a movie, it was the first half of the movie was just edited very poorly. And the fight between Superman and Batman felt pretty contrived and all this stuff. That extra 30 minutes of footage really makes a huge difference. Zach, you're in there nodding a lot. Have you seen the Ultimate Edition yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, but have you been hearing it's a better cut?
By you and other people, yeah.
Yeah, it's a far better cut.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you the question, though.
Yeah.
Let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
With the Ultimate Edition, with the extra footage, how does it stand up to Civil War?
Oh, Civil War is still a superior movie. Yeah, okay. Zach's in there like, come on, you can't. He's shaking his head in disgust that somebody would even ask that. No, I'm just messing with you.
But that's kind of my point in all this, although we're not talking about DC versus Marvel. But I think that Marvel is so nailing it on the movie screen.
They are. Yeah.
And DC is so nailing it on the television screen.
They are, yeah. And DC's starting to nail it in the comic books. The Rebirth stuff is darn good. They're just telling good stories without fundamentally changing everything. There's no doubt that Marvel's got the cinematic universe nailed. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition is a better cut, far better cut. but I still would rather Zack Snyder just move on and stop trying. Don't make them all gritty. And anyway, I'm not gonna, unless you guys have anything else you want to say on that, I'm gonna move on.
Let's talk Star Trek. If you got
okay. Well, we've got a couple more news items here. Doggone it. So this is the much beloved or maligned. I never can tell if it's beloved or maligned news segment. So speaking of Pokemon Go, they got their Detective Pikachu live action movie is to be produced by Legendary Entertainment. So I don't know why. Hollywood's in a big craze to see, to grab Pokemon rights because Pokemon Go has gone ridiculous. I mean, beyond ridiculous on the craze. So all of a sudden, Hollywood's all crazy about Pokemon again. And evidently, for some strange reason, the first Pokemon movie is going to be a live-action Detective Pikachu movie. I don't know why.
Okay, then.
I don't make this up. I just report the facts. Unless I'm making it up. But in this case, I'm not making it up. So
will Detective Pikachu end up being the next pet rock?
It might. Or it might just end up being a rock. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, are you guys Pokemon? I missed Pokemon by a generation. It was the generation after me. So
Yeah,
but I'm all about Pokemon Go. Are either of you guys Pokemon folks?
Haven't done it yet. My son is 5 years old.
I've got plenty of younger friends who play it, but I haven't gotten into it myself.
Okay, and then where were you saying there? Was that Jonathan?
Yeah, my son's too young. He's 5 years old, and I'm not going to do it myself when I've got to take a 5-year-old all over the place looking for a Pokemon.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Next news item. Let me know if this excites you or not. Have you seen this stuff about the Nintendo is going to release, I think in December, a miniature $60 version of the NES that has 30 games built in?
Well, that seems to be the peanut in the M&M, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I've never heard it put that way, but yeah, that gets it right there. Are either of you guys? Does that the people are going nuts? They're kind of freaking out over this news. Very excited. Are you guys? Does this do anything for you? Does this float your boat? Does that put the peanut in your M&M?
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I wasn't a big NES player back when it first came out. Except for, Super Mario Brothers and, I played a fair amount of Tetris on it. I think it's cool, I mean, if, people are nostalgic for the older consoles, which I know they've done similar things with like the Atari 2600. So, I mean, if somebody's really into wanting to play old NES games, this looks pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I was much more of a computer gamer and still am. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I was there when Nintendo exploded on the scene, so I know there's a lot of people that are just losing their minds over this. It'll be a great Christmas gift, and it also one thing that's cool about it is it comes with the original NES controller, and like the actual controller is what you play it with, and you can buy extra controllers, so that's pretty cool. But
here's something to make you feel old.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's something to make you feel old, in addition to all the gray hairs as your body betrays you.
I was about to say, isn't that why I have gray hair?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so, okay. One more news item, and then we're going to talk Star Trek news. Okay, here we need a moment of sad silence, guys. Everybody take a pause. The world's last VCRs will be produced in Japan this month. The last VCRs. I want
to tell you something. I saved a VCR.
Did you really?
I still have a VCR, and you know why?
I don't know why.
I saved a Star Wars VHS tape.
Oh, of the original cut.
With the original cut. I wanted, the first time Jaden saw Star Wars, I wanted him to see Han fire first. Wow. You, sir, are not only a true dad, but a true geek. And I salute you. I'm saluting you in the studio right now. I'm saluting you. Well, there's a company called Funai, I guess. They build the recorders in China, and they sell them in North America under the Sanyo brand. This is a Japanese company that does this. And at one time in the 90s, 95% of American households had one. That is a huge penetration rate. But yeah, it's the death knell of the VCR is here. So And I fondly remember the VCR because I loved, my dad had a Betamax. And I remember watching this James Bond movie on it. And I just felt like I was mad with power because I could rewind the characters and make them do whatever I wanted and have them do stuff over and over again. So in this day and age, people don't get why that's such a big deal. But when they first came out, that was a darn big deal. So, okay. That was the last just general news item. I've got in the show notes, and Jonathan sent this to me, so I made sure to include this as a news item. Reason TV did a interview and a segment, if you will, on Axanar, the $1 million Star Trek fan film that CBS wants to stop. That's actually kind of a deceptive title because it actually just kind of goes through all the fan films out there in the history of the fan films and barely mentions Axanar, but the whole reason they're talking about it is because of the lawsuit on Axanar. And Jonathan, who's on the phone with us right now, was interviewed in there, and you did a very good job. Woo-hoo. Yeah, so that's just that is the peanut in the M&M right there. I mean, we're done. We can just go home. So, anyway, go check it out. It's like a 10 or 11 minute interview, very well produced, or 10 or 11 minute segment. There's interviews with like Richard Hatch. There's interviews, and I cannot believe his name is escaping me. I've had him on the show.
Alec Peters.
Yeah, Alec Peters. Yeah, there's interviews. Yeah, and you know, there's good stuff in there, so go check it out. It's linked on the show notes, or just search for Reason TV Axanar interview or something on YouTube, and you'll find it.
Yeah, it's really worth checking out. It's not just an Axanar Puff piece. In fact, at the end, they sort of imply that Axanar is probably going to have a very big uphill battle to win their case.
Yeah,
but it's a great introduction or just an explanation of what fan films are and how they've evolved over the years.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very good introduction. And, you know, whether people like Axanar or dislike Axanar or whether they like Alec Peters or don't, in my opinion, it's the Axanar thing has not created the situation. It's revealed the situation. It's revealed it more than
there's the peanut in the M&M.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Put it this way, when I had Alec... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, it's like, I remember back when I first started hearing, I forget who it was, if it was Continues or somebody else, but I saw that Star Trek fan film producers were starting to crowdfund on Kickstarter, you know, and I saw that, and I'm like, wow, are the studios actually going to allow this to happen? You know, and so it's like, you know, as soon as that started happening, I thought sooner or later somebody is just going to get to a point where the studios are going to have to say enough. You know, it's,
right.
You know, it just so happened that Axanar happened to be that one.
Right.
That crossed that line.
And
you know, it's like. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we could talk more about this during the actual small access portion of the show, but, you know, a lot of people are accusing Alec Peters and Axanar of stuff, and I'm like, this stuff has not been proven in court yet. You know, people are acting like that, you know, oh, he did this. You don't know if he did that or not. Those are just accusations.
It's the court of public opinion.
Yeah, the court of public opinion. Yes. So if you want to know where I land on this, now, I'm not saying that you should make money off somebody else's IP. So if it turns out that Alec Peters did that, then shame on him. But that hasn't been proved yet. And I think that they still need their day in court. At the end of my interview with him, I played Fight the Power. So if that tells you where I land on this subject, okay? So, all right. So a couple more Star Trek news items, and then we're going to roll into the meat of the show. After over a decade, here comes a brand new Star Trek role-playing game. I'm excited. I'm a role-playing game nerd. So there's a company called Modifius Entertainment that is coming out with Star Trek Adventures, which will let you explore the galaxy from your starship, from the comfort of your very own gaming group, rolling them dice on the table. What do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, I heard the announcement of that. I didn't look too deeply into it. I mean, you know, somebody who grew up playing D&D, you know, it kind of makes you feel nostalgic for role-playing games.
Yeah.
It'd be fun, but, you know, I mean, to be quite frank, I stopped playing role-playing games years ago because, you know, well, it takes way too much time, in my opinion, to even get started on playing a game, and I just got too much.
Well, it's not for everybody. I'm a big role-playing nerd. About half of the content on this radio stuff is role-playing game related in one form or another. But it bodes well for Star Trek as an IP. in general, that it's coming back. And enworld.org, the company, they broke the news, at least as far as I know, and their servers were having a hard time keeping up. And they're a pretty robust site to begin with. So it just shows that there's hunger for Star Trek far beyond what CBS and Paramount are giving us. So
not dead yet.
What the heck do you know about that? So, and an interesting little piece of trivia, the 4 Years War that Axanar is based on came out of the FASA role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So, this stuff is...
Back in the days when I used to pay attention to role-playing games.
Yep, back in the days. So, and I talked to Alec about that a little bit. So, when I had him on the show. Okay, finally, if people want to check it out, I did go see Star Trek Beyond last night. I know that David's seen it. I
watched your review online. I have not seen it yet, so please leave the spoilers out.
So Jonathan's seen it. David is not. I'm not going to spoil it anymore.
David has seen it. Jonathan is not.
Yeah. So okay, right. So I'm not going to spoil anything at this point. My review's online. I liked it. There's good stuff. There's bad stuff. Overall, I liked it a lot. I thought, ironically, for it mainly being an action movie, there's scenes of it where we're finally getting the multicolored, bright optimism of the original series we're finally getting that in the JJ verse in portions of this movie. So, but I'm not going to go into everything. Like I said, I've got like a 20-something minute review. It's linked on the show notes. It's on YouTube. Look for Shane Plays Star Trek Beyond review, spoiler free. I liked it. And I like
review, folks. Go and check it out. I watched it this morning.
Well, thanks, man. And I got to say that I'm like you guys. I'm upset with CBS and Paramount, but I'm not trying to boycott anything right now. So, if you're mad at CBS or Paramount, still go check. It's a good movie, And
if I may interject, I am going to go see it. I had my own deep, soul searching of whether or not I was going to go see it, whether I was going to see it the first weekend or wait till the second weekend. And I finally came to, a come to the great bird moment. And I wrote
the great
about
bird of the galaxy.
Great bird of the galaxy, and I had my moment, and I wrote about it in a blog that I
Is
really
this the blog piece that you asked me? I did not get a chance. You sent me a blog and said, "Hey, if you get a chance." Okay, I didn't get a chance.
That you didn't read before this interview. Yes.
Yeah, I did not get a chance. Okay, well,
it is on I'll tell you, it's on fanfilmfactor.com. Fanfilmfactor.com. It is still, I think, the number one thing on the homepage, so you can go read it. And it's basically called Moving Beyond Anger. Get the little pun in there.
Yeah.
How I decided to fan up. But I think it's really, there you go.
Yeah.
But it goes through a lot of stuff, including bringing in a green Muppet Jedi Master and what he said about hatred.
Yeah, hatred leads to anger. Anger leads to not seeing the movie.
Yeah,
not seeing the movie means you don't get more movies. All right, anyway.
Who suffers when you don't see the movie? So anyway, feel free to read it, folks. It's actually a really well-written blog piece, I think.
And I
do say so myself.
Yeah, and I have to say, JJ Verse is not necessarily the Trek I want, but JJ knows how to make a movie, So, and here's he's producing, but not directing. Anyway, David, what did you think of Star Trek Beyond?
I really liked it. I think I liked it a little bit better than you did. It's my initial reaction that I put on as my Facebook status when I got home from watching it was I wish this was the movie that they came out with 3 years ago.
Yeah, right.
This movie, it would have been a much better follow-up to the 2009 movie than Into Darkness was.
I agree.
Now, granted, I did like Into Darkness.
Season had been its first season, it would still be on the air.
Say that again.
If Star Trek Enterprise's fourth season had been its first season,
it would still be on the air.
Would still be on the air.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So, David, you were saying that you wish this would have been the follow-up to the 2009 Star Trek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I liked Into Darkness. It's like when I saw the 2009 movie, I knew I wanted to see it again as soon as I was done with it.
I walked out of the theater and went, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. With Into Darkness, I had caught a Thursday night midnight matinee, and I was one of three people in the theater, and I left going kind of, was that a good movie? Maybe I need to, it's like I knew I needed to go see it again, but it was because I need to go see it with a whole bunch of people. You know? This one, I'm like, man, I want to go buy a ticket for the next showing.
I want to see the first 2 reels again real bad. The third reel, not so much. It was still good, but the first 2 reels really blew me away. And do you agree? You don't have to agree, obviously, but do you agree that if kind of starting to feel like that bright, multicolored optimism of Star Trek? Like the first part of the movie really felt like that to me. Like,
yeah, I remember reading a lot of the reviews, the positive reviews that have come out for it, and a lot of them were saying this is kind of like, or it's reminiscent or harkens back to, like an episode of the original series.
Right.
And it did feel that way to me. Maybe not like one of the, it's not like, City on the Edge of Forever or any other of like the best episodes, but it was, kind of a, second tier, very good,
it was good
kind of episode.
Yeah, it was good
in there.
And they also, one thing I liked about it, I'll mention 2 things, and we got to go to a break. Because I want to move on to Project Small Access. One, wow, Starbases in the JJ verse look cool. Yikes! Yeah. Wow.
That station is kind of like the Elysium station, as designed by M.C. Escher.
Yeah, it is crazy. Now, there's going to be some people that are going, no, it's not what Starbases look like in Trek. And okay, fair enough. But if you're going to change what Starbases look like, that Starbase is cool. And then
exactly.
The other thing that I liked was we're finally getting the Kirk Spock Bones thing going, right? Like where you really see a lot of that. So anyway, all right. Any final quick thoughts on Star Trek Beyond before I take us to a break so we can get to Project Small Access?
The only other thing I wanted to say, and this is in regards to your review, you were kind of putting it as like, this movie was 75% action, 25% Trek. I would put it more at 50-50 in my estimation.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. And that's some of the stuff is subjective, but we both agree that it had a substantial portion. It's like, oh, this feels like Star Trek. Yeah, and I liked that. So anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to take us to a break. Like I said, when guys come back, we will definitely start talking Project Small Access right here on Shane Plays Radio, a journey into the things we love.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate Battle of the Galaxies. Grab your slot today for the only online game where tactics and strategy still reign supreme. Visit Megawars.net and get options only available in our special pre-sales previews running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. I am joined by Jonathan and David of Project Small Access. We've been talking, we had our news segment, talked a little bit about Star Trek Beyond before the break. So if you missed that and you're listening live, you're going to have to catch the podcast. Don't forget that this is live Geek Talk Radio. If anyone wants to tweet, I will try to work in your question or comment at Shane Plays, ShanePlays. And you can also call at 501-823-0965. But guys, we're about to talk about Project Small Access. We have a tradition on this show. Anytime we talk Star Trek. So I got to do this now. I apologize in advance for any mental problems that you encounter after this. So go ahead and let it rip, Zach.
Star trekking across the universe. On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk. Star trekking across the universe. Slowly going forward 'cause we can't find reverse.
There we go. Woohoo! That's a tradition. I don't know why it's a tradition.
That in my head for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Anyway, all right, guys. So, real quick, introduce yourselves. Mention your blogs, that sort of thing, and then tell us about Project Small Access. I guess just to keep things from getting confused. Jonathan, you go first, and then David, you can go after Jonathan in no particular order. So.
Okay. Well, Jonathan Lane, I live in Los Angeles. For many years I was actually a professional Trekkie. I'll get into that later. But right now I have a blog called fanfilmfactor.com, fanfilmfactor.com. And it's pretty much just all fan films. I do interviews with the creators of them. I have news. I have other fun stuff. That blog is taking up most of my life right now. I am a supporter of Axonar, but I'm a supporter of all fan films, and it was my idea to do the Small Access, which we'll get to in just a second. Dave, how about you?
Well, hi,
and now to you, Dave.
I'm sorry, what?
And now to you, Dave.
Okay.
Hello, Dave.
Yeah, I write a blog called Stuff I Think About at hubcapdave.blogspot.com. And really it was mostly just a blog that I wrote periodically on different stuff I think about. But this year, once the Axonar lawsuit dropped, it really grabbed my attention. And so I've been writing mainly about that for the last 4 or 5 months or so.
Okay. So that's become the focus of what your output is. Now what is Project Small Access?
All righty, sit down, get comfortable, kids. Here comes the story.
Here comes a story.
All right. So first of all, Small Access is for anybody who loves Star Trek fan films, or at least loves the concept of Star Trek fan films. You don't have to love every single one of them. And who really thinks that these guidelines that CBS and Paramount just released for Star Trek fan films have gone too far.
You're putting it so politely. That is so polite.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. If we have time, I'm going to mention later on how I understand what the studios are thinking and why they did it. I actually have a lot of empathy for them. I think they made a mistake. I think there's been overreach, but I understand why they did what they did. It pisses me off, but I understand why they did what they did. So basically, if you are in the mindset that these guidelines need to be not repealed and replaced, I'm not using that, but revisited and revised is my saying. Come to the Small Access Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, type in Small Access. I think it's facebook.com/group/Small Access, all one word, all lowercase, and join us. And here's the only thing that you have to do if you join us. I mean, you really don't even have to pay attention to the group if you don't want to. You're welcome to. But it's just you agreeing that instead of subscribing yourself to the new All Access to watch the new Star Trek television series, that you are going to subscribe in a group of people, either 2 people, buddies, or 5 or 6, I mean, however many you can get together, and you're going to watch as a group with a designated subscriber. So if you've got 6 people together, instead of each one of you paying $6 to the studio a month for your subscription, one person pays, and then you get together at his house. And then, to pay that person back and share the cost, just, everybody else buys the pizza, and he's the only one who doesn't. If you're worried about, selling tickets is illegal or whatever, just buy him his dinner. But do that so that you turn $36 a month of revenue from CBS into $6 a month. That's why I call it small access. We're not boycotting. And people who say we are boycotting, we're not. I mean, some people in the group say that they're going to boycott. I'm not going to stop them. I mean, you can be part of it and be a boycotter. But the idea is they're not going to. The studios are not going to believe you're going to boycott. Even if you know you're going to boycott, the studios are not going to believe you're going to boycott. Because you're a Trekkie, and as far as the studios are concerned, Trekkies watch everything Star Trek. They're a reliable demographic. They're a blue state that always votes for the Democrat. The thing about the studios is they take us for granted, and honestly, most of the time they're right. So they're not going to believe in a boycott, even if you do it. But this isn't a boycott. You're allowed to watch the new series. If you love Star Trek, you watch it. Just watch it as a group, which is actually kind of fun. I mean, they do it with, Game of Thrones all the time. Not everybody who comes to a Game of Thrones viewing party subscribes to HBO. But this is a direct potential hit to CBS. And right now we've got about 1,200 people, which I calculated is probably about $50 a month per person who's part of the small access group of a potential hit, and on average. So we represent about, right now, $60,000 a year of potential revenue loss. If we get to 10,000 people, then suddenly we're a $500,000 potential loss. If we get to 100,000 people, we're a $5 million potential revenue loss, and they better pay attention to us at that point. But the idea is not to destroy Star Trek. To be very honest, that would be the worst thing in the world. And I don't think with 1,200 people or even with 12,000 people we're going to destroy Star Trek. What we want is we want to get noticed.
Okay.
We want to get noticed long enough for CBS to see what we've been discussing, which is part 2 of my answer. Because on the Small Access website, what I have been doing every day is I have been putting up discussion surveys and discussion polls.
Yeah, I've seen those. Okay.
And the idea is we're a focus group. We are a 1,200-person focus group. I used to create focus groups. I used to work in the marketing field. I have written the questions for focus groups. I have done the analysis for focus groups. I've led focus groups. I've participated in focus groups. I know the way to phrase these questions. And I've got incredibly valuable data for CBS to take a look at. If they want to revise these, if they're wondering, did we go too far with these guidelines? And is there a way to roll them back a little bit without rolling them back a lot? Because the studio's not going to want to get rid of all 10 guidelines. And in fact, immediately, we don't have a problem with half of them.
Yeah, I'm like you. There's a lot, like you said, it's not the concept, because even Alec Peters was saying, okay, guys, let's come to the table and talk about what's cool and what's not. But the guidelines they came out with are just absolutely ridiculous. So what about you, David? Do you want to add anything to that, to what Jonathan shared?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the concept of this is all Jonathan's brainchild. I can tell you why I think it's a fantastic idea.
Okay, so share that with us.
Yeah. Well, it's I was thinking of 2 different times that I know that Sci-Fi fandom has tried to, do boycott and petitions with name signing and whatnot. One of them was right after the Axonaut lawsuit got announced. And then the other one was back in 2002, 2003, when the Sci-Fi Channel rebooted Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
Okay. And in both those cases, they managed to get the similar number of people to sign up, somewhere around, I think they were both around 12 to 15,000 people. Okay. So let's say that every single one of those people that actually signed actually followed through on their boycott. Well, for Battlestar Galactica, a show that is, relies upon ratings, 12 to 15,000 people isn't really going to move your rating point one way or the other. It's like almost no effect. And if you
right, and let me drill down. Let me stop you for a second and drill down on that. People don't understand from a corporate standpoint, that's the kind of thing they're looking at. You might have a few people in the mix that are like, look, we want to treat the fans right, but there's a lot of people, they're looking at what you're talking about. There's a needle. As long as you don't move my needle, I don't care. So anyway, keep going. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then with Beyond, let's say ticket is $12.50 nowadays on average. Probably more. I know I paid more even on matinee for that. That same 12 to 15,000 people. Let's say they go see the movie on an average 1.5 times. It's a couple $100,000. That's less than 1% of what Into Darkness made.
Right.
It's a rounding error.
Excuse me, 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah.
It's like, as Jonathan says, it's a rounding error. So yeah, it's if that's the most people that you can get to sign a petition, and that's assuming that every single person that signs the petition actually follows through on it, they're not going to notice.
Right.
And that's why I'd never sign these things, because it's like. The corporations also know the same thing that I know about myself. I love Star Trek,
Right.
I want to watch Star Trek, and my view of Star Trek is enough that I have been largely satisfied with all the JJ reboot movies, and I want to do something I love. I want to do something fun, and boycotting something I love, it's hard to do.
As my dad would say, it's cutting off your nose to spite your face. So
exactly.
So here's the thing. Here's my thing on the JJ movies, and then we're going to take a break and come back. I'll ask a couple more questions. I can deal with the JJ movies, right? It's like going to a restaurant I like, but it's not my preferred restaurant, right? But I still enjoy it, right? But I'd still rather have, I'm hoping that this new series that's coming out, is going to be in the Prime universe. I'm hoping,
I'm pretty sure it will be.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, guys, we're going to take another quick break. I got to pay the bills around here. And when we come back, I got a couple more questions. I want to ask, do you think the studios are going to take you seriously? And then, try to get a concept of what your dream scenario would be in all of this, what your best case outcome would be. People, don't forget, we're talking about Project Small Access. You can go to Facebook, search for Project Small Access. It's also on the show notes at shaneplays.com. And you can join this group and be part of this movement, not to boycott the new Star Trek TV show, but to help be heard and to help let CBS and Paramount know that we're not happy with these fan film guidelines. So anyway, real quick, some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. For all your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent you.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
MegaWars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate Battle of the Galaxies. Grab your slot today for the only online game where tactics and strategy still reign supreme. Visit MegaWars.net and get options only available in our special pre-sales previews running now.
MegaWars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm joined by Jonathan and David from Project Small Access, which is an organization, you can find them on Facebook, that's trying to have their voice heard with CBS and Paramount about these draconian Star Trek fan film guidelines. Guys, we've got about 6 minutes left. I like to paraphrase Star Trek Generations and say that time is a predator that stalks us all our lives on radio. I've got 3 questions I want to try to hit here. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll try to move as quickly. One, how do you respond to people saying that you're just sort of a puppet of Axanar and Alec Peters? Because I know there's some people that think that.
All I'll say is what we're not. I actually launched this thing, and then I asked Alec if I could put it on the Axanar website where I do a blog and mention it, and he said, sure, go ahead. And then a week later, he said, okay, what the heck is this small access thing you did? So he had no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
He's really busy. He doesn't need to run my life. And, we're friends. We talk. But, this is one thing he's got lots of other stuff to work with.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess what you have to say is, like, some people are going to suspect that no matter what, but you're saying emphatically, no, this isn't.
No, I mean,
we're not.
That is most definitely not correct.
Really busy, and I'm really busy.
Go ahead, David.
I remember when Jonathan first called me with the idea. I was there in my car listening to him on the radio, and Alec wasn't in my car. He wasn't on my phone.
Right.
This was Jonathan's brainchild all the way.
Okay. So, and like we mentioned earlier in the show, I firmly believe that the Axanar thing revealed the situation. If it wasn't Axanar, somebody else would have. It would have happened with another fan film. Everyone's wanting to say Alec Peters this and da-da-da-da. All this did was shine the light on the hearts of CBS and Paramount. That's all it's done.
And you know what? If somebody wants to keep battling that battle, it's fine, but that's so last month.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on just for interest of time. And this is kind of we'll try to finish on these 2 questions. They're kind of, you maybe can answer them at the same time.
I think I can.
Okay, so what, do you think that the studios will actually take you seriously? And, realistically, what is you guys' dream scenario here? What outcome would make you the most happy and satisfied?
Okay, so are they going to take us seriously? Well, at 1,200 members, probably not. Hopefully we can grow that to 5,000 or 10,000 by the time the new series starts to come out. But here's the thing, and this is I don't talk about this very much, but I'm sort of like the only Nixon could go to China person in all of this, and that I used to work for John Van Citters at CBS Licensing.
Right. Yeah, I wish I had time to read your bio you sent me, because you know your stuff when it comes to Star Trek.
I do. And the thing was, I know John. I worked with him for many years. He's a great guy, and I know what he was thinking. And I know who else was in the room with him, and that's the CBS General Counsel, Jonathan Anshel, who I am separated by 1 degree of separation from. So I'm sort of in an interesting position in all of this. Now, I'm not necessarily going to leverage either of those relationships unless the opportunity comes up. But here's the thing. If we really see this drop in fan films, and if there's problems, and there's really a lot of blowback from fans that's not going away, it could be that CBS is wondering about the focus group information, because I've got it. I've got literally hundreds of people. And the thing is, it's not everything is you have to get rid of this guideline.
Well, I mean, are you waiting for them to approach you, or at a certain point, and maybe David, you can shed light, or maybe since this is Jonathan's brainchild, are you at some point going to approach them and say, guys, are you going to look at this or not?
I might. At this point, I'm not really. I need to see how far this thing grows, and I need to see what opportunities come up. I want to have the focus group data up online, and in a couple of weeks, now that we have all the surveys, we've gone through all the guidelines, I'm going to put all the surveys up. I'm also a graphic designer. It's going to look beautiful, like Donald Trump. It's going to look huge. It's going to look beautiful.
It's going to look beautiful, like that T-shirt that you wore in your Reason TV interview. I love it. I was like, man, he's not missing an opportunity for PR. David, I want to make sure.
PR thing. Yeah, I made that the day before at a kiosk, by the way.
Yeah, it looked fine. So, David, what about you? What is your? And I know this is Jonathan's baby, but what's your dream outcome here? Because you've invested time in this too.
My dream outcome is pretty close to Jonathan's in that, this gets big enough, we get enough people who are going to go, hey, this is a good idea, I'm gonna join you guys and help get these rules changed.
And so you're hoping for, you guys are both hoping for a positive conversation with CBS and Paramount.
It's not going to be an Aaron Brockovich moment where, I walk out of there at the end having triumphed or whatever. The studios really, they control everything.
All right, let me do this.
To just adjust it. Okay, yeah, there you go.
I hate to interrupt you. We've got about 30 seconds left here.
30 seconds, go.
Jonathan, since this is your brainchild, what is your dream scenario? I want to make sure that you get to comment on that.
You know what? If I can get a few little wins out of this, adjust the time limit. From
give us 45 minutes or something.
30 minutes, 45 minutes, or whatever. Adjust the, get rid of the thing that says no series, no ongoing series. Adjust the crowdfunding limit a little bit. Just a few little wins, and I think CBS would get so much positive PR over saying, you know what. We did overreach. We want to be fair to the fans. We're going to release just a little bit. We're still going to have most of our guidelines in there, but here's a little more breathing room for you. If we could get that out of this, I think everybody wins.
Okay, that is a good positive note to end on. Jonathan, David, I actually just joined your group. I thought I joined it before. Folks, go to Project Small Access on Facebook. Guys, thanks for being on. Next week, we're going to have Michael Whitwer. He wrote a biography on Gary Gygax of Dungeons & Dragons. Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio.
Star trekking across the universe. On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk. Star trekking across the universe. Only going forward 'cause we can't find reverse.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.